All right, we are live.
Mm,
Okay, so we'll just give a few minutes for people to get on. Um, Not sure if I'm gonna be able to see people's comments or not. I should, but we'll see. Um, okay. All right. So, yep, we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Have a Little Talk with me. Today, and as you know, we're continuing the conversation on marriage, and I have two phenomenal couples here with me. We have the Baileys and we have the McIntoshes. Just a little background on how
Everybody.
we know each other. We all go to church together, we worship together, we serve together. And I've gotten to know them over time, and it's been great. Like, just I've said before, I'm an observant person, and then with me being a married person, I like to I'm always looking to learn, because I've been married long, so I'm always looking to learn new things and just glean from those who have like been in this longer than I have. So
mm.
yeah, I'm like super excited. Um, yeah, this is like a wealth of wisdom right here. Very, very excited. Um,
Yeah.
so I sent you all the questions, but I did not send you all the icebreaker activity. Because I wanted it to be like spontaneous. It's just a quick little game. I'm gonna ask a question, and whoever it applies to, you just point to them.
Okay.
Just point to them. Okay.
Yes. So
Yep.
it's questions
Okay.
about it's
Yeah.
questions about each
Each
other.
other.
So yeah, yeah. All right. So first question is, who is older? Okay. Wait, I didn't know that. I didn't know. That's crazy. Okay. Um, who made the first move?
I didn't.
Who said I love you first? Y'all both said it first.
I
Okay.
did.
Who is the better driver?
Oh, me. No. Mm.
That's
Um,
what y'all again.
I'm the better driver.
He's a faster driver.
Got
Yeah.
you. Okay. Um, who is the better cook? Okay, cool. Who is the introvert? Okay, I already knew that. And who is the extrovert?
Me.
Okay, wonderful. So that was our little icebreaker to get you all a little more comfortable. Um, so we'll just go ahead and get into the discussion questions. But before we do, there's a disclaimer that I do with all of my guests. Um, just letting you all know that your vulnerability is a gift to me and to everyone who is watching. So whenever you're given a gift, you don't really get to determine how it's given by the person who's giving it to you. So with that being said, if there's anything, you're free to share whatever you like. If there's anything that you would rather not talk about or not address, that's totally fine. It's up to you at your discretion. Okay, so you don't have to answer any questions that you don't feel comfortable discussing or talking about. Okay,
Mhm.
all right. So, question number one is, how long have you been together and how long have you been married? Who
You
does
have to go
Want to go
first.
first, Bellies?
okay?
You want us to go first?
Mhm.
Um, 3 years before marriage. And we've been married, it'll be 28 in October. So we're
Wow.
27 in some months.
Okay.
Nice.
Awesome.
So we've been together for 26 years, but married 20.
Okay. That's awesome.
Mhm.
All right. So, question number two. Please tell us the story of how you met.
You want to go first?
We met in a church. We met my father's church.
Okay.
And we knew one another's families. And I knew of her, but I really didn't talk to her. I knew, her family.
Right.
So it was, yeah, in my dad's church, we got together. And when I really started talking to her was like on a Valentine's Day. And I brought her a card. So that was when we did start talking.
And I was kind of scared
She was
because I
kind
was
of
like,
nervous. Like, what is
is
this?
this card for me? Like,
I was like, yeah, you're the one.
Okay.
yes.
So I would have to tell the story because he didn't really know. So I had a female that used to live with me. We called each other sisters, and I was trying to hook him up with her.
Oh.
Matchmaker.
So I was trying to play matchmaker. So I talked to him for like a week, like 2-3 weeks on the phone, acting like I liked him, but it was really for her to get to my house so she could make her move, and she never made the move. So the rest is history. That's And
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Right.
so we met through a mutual friend.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so question number 3. What is or was the hardest adjustment you had to make after getting married?
I think for us, it was blended families because he had children prior marriage and I had Tawana. So I would say blended families, trying to get us all together and, iron out some things that, our children needed.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That was the hardest work, yeah.
For me, it was more so being a dad because I didn't have any children. Like at the time, I didn't have any children. So when we got married, it was more so being a father to 3 children. So that was the hardest adjustment for me.
Okay. So this isn't on the list, but I just kind of thought of it as y'all were talking. Like, if you don't mind sharing, like, how old were your children when y'all did get married?
So David, my oldest, he was, I had 12, a 10-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
Oh, okay.
However, my youngest, he had already been in his life since he was almost 2. So we met a month before my youngest was turning 2. So my youngest only knows him as dad. But my oldest 2, of course, knew their biological father.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think Tawana was what, 14?
Tawana was in junior high school.
14 years old, yeah, when we met. And
your children were young.
My children, yeah, they were all under 10 years, 11 years old. And so it was, I always tell people that when you are marrying somebody that has children, I thought that one of the important things was me sitting down with Tawana. I actually went in the room by myself with her, just sat down and laid down. She was in bed, but I was on the floor and just sitting by her bed. And I just want to let her know that not only do I love your mom, I want you to know that I love you. This is about you too. And that I do care about you. And it's all of you, it's you together. So I want you to know that I love you, and whatever you want me to do, just let me know. So I wanted to make sure that she was included, because it's when you are going through a remarriage, like I did, you have to talk to the children. You have to talk to the children, let the children know what's going on, and that they're important.
Absolutely.
And that they need to be heard, and what do they think, and I think that really blessed her, to say, well, you came in, and I think it really meant a lot, because I think she did. She said something to you later on about that. So
yeah, because and it's important to listen to your children when you are marrying not the father of your children. Because my first marriage, Tawana actually said to me, she said, "Mom, don't marry him." And I always tell that story. And I did anyway. I said, but this time, I said, "Tawana, what do you think about him?" And she said, "Mom, marry him." So I listen to your children.
Yeah.
When it comes to, you marrying somebody that's not their father.
Mhm.
They know how you treat them, and you look at that too, how they treat your children.
Absolutely.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's very important because sometimes, like I've seen it like with, someone will marry into the family and try to take over, especially like if it's a man, that like, well, I'm
Right.
taking over it, we're doing this my way, and that obviously complicates things. So I'm glad that ended up, working out for y'all, and I'm really like I like the approach that you had, Pastor Haley. Like that's a really good approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, like letting the children know
They listen
well. Yeah,
to them.
yeah.
Yeah, and that was the same thing with me too. I talk to the children one on one, and then together, just to get their input on how they feel. And they fell in love with me from the beginning, so that kind of made it that much easier. I didn't have to front. I didn't have to put no airs on. They felt my heart. They knew where we stood, where I stood. I knew where they stood, and that just made it that much easier.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a blessing for sure. Oh, okay. Sorry, I got my questions mixed up. Okay. Question number 4. What was the hardest challenge the two of you faced together, and how did you overcome?
I would say communication.
Communication, definitely.
Because me being independent, right? And not only independent, just being a single mom before I met him, it was kind of like, this is my domain, right?
Right.
And not really understanding how to communicate, right? So that was our hardest part, and because both of us are so strong-headed, I'm more of a boisterous person, and he's gonna retreat, right, until he hits that peak of he's just being tired. The men that I encounter, you gotta keep pushing that button before you get a reaction, right? So he we just bumped heads with that communication. I'm not listening, he wasn't listening, right? So we came to an agreement that when we are talking, one of us has to be a little more humble, right? So either if it's getting too heated, one of us is going to have to say, hold on, wait a minute, let's come back to this conversation. So that's how we overcome. Like, we both take a step back and we're like, okay, let's talk about this at a different time. And that comes through much prayer, right? And submission on my part, because I am a strong-willed woman. And this mouth of mine in the past was very, it was just wasn't good, and I can tell on myself, and I can be transparent. With women, married women, and even women that are trying to become married need to understand that we can damage a man by our mouth, right? Yeah. So we have to take a step back sometimes. And that's what I had to learn through this. And what I had to learn is he is really a patient man. So I had to retreat and say, okay, let me look at this submissive word again, right? What does it mean to be submissive? What does it mean to not damage your significant other when you're talking? So I would say the hardest thing for us was the communication piece. And we overcome because we take a step back now, right? And it helps through with much. I got to go back to much prayer because I had to pray about this mouth of, So yeah, that's what I would say. What you think?
Also, yeah, communication, definitely. I know for me, being a person of not really allowing my emotions to show until I get angry. Just having to step back and just calming myself and allowing myself to look at how I would communicate if someone was communicating with me. So if I'm yelling at my wife and she's yelling back, neither our points aren't getting across nor heard. So I had to within myself do a self-examination of, okay, if I'm gonna bring it, I have to expect it back. So I didn't always want that type of communication. So I had to look at how I was communicating with her. If I was just yelling, hooping and hollering, and then expecting her not to yell back at me. So that was the biggest thing for me. And again, how I overcame was I looked at just past relationships that I knew that people were in, and it was just a whole bunch of hooping and hollering and no communication and all of that stuff. I'm like, I don't want my marriage to be like that. You know, I don't want to be a friend to my wife like that. So just to value what she says and not look at everything when we're communicating as an attack or a belittle. Just trying to do some self-examination. Like, okay, is this could actually be beneficial to me to listen and to, you know, just communicate a different way instead of the usual hooper holler, all of that stuff. So yeah, definitely communication, I would say.
And always creating a safe place, right?
Yes.
Create a safe place for the both of
Absolutely.
you. Have those conversations, right? And so yeah, create that safe place and humbling yourself. And if you are a woman such as myself that like to get the last word, you're gonna have to humble yourself just a little more. You know, I tell myself.
Yes, absolutely.
That's about it.
Good. That was good. All right, Bailey's same question.
I think for us it was finances.
Okay.
You know, putting our monies together and me not wanting to spend and do what I want to do. And, you know, because I wanted to be that helpmate. My husband, you know, he took the lead. You know, he's a hard worker, but our main thing was just that part. Trusting, you know, but me spending and not working together as one, because when you're married, you have to have that. You have to, you know, be on one accord. I mean, I can have my own little savings, but we still have to work together to build.
Absolutely.
That was hard.
Yeah, because you can be good with you too. We were good with one another. It was the outside stuff that we struggled with. So you were good talking with one another, but when it came to the children, now how do you learn how to operate in that? How do you learn how to deal with that? How do you talk to one another? What are you in agreement with and what you are not in agreement with? Because matter of fact, you know, I think one of the things we did that I felt was good when we first met was we sat down and we talked. We said, what do you really want and what do you really like? You know, what don't you really like? Be honest and straightforward with me, because if there's issues that are really issues with you, I want to hear about it now, because I may not be able to handle that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, because you can say you love somebody, but if you can't handle some of the weight that they may thrown your way, then you might just want to walk and say, you know what? I heard you. I love you as a person, but I don't know if I can do that. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things you can sit there and lie to yourself in life, but certain things you really don't like. You know what I'm saying? And you got to be honest with you, because you got to be honest with yourself, because once you're in there, you put that ring on, it's like, it's over now. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to speak up and say, you got to speak up before you get married to say,
yes,
you know what? I can't tolerate that. You know what? And it could be something real simple. It doesn't have to, it could be the way somebody eats. You might not like the way they eat. You know what I mean?
Listen. I cannot stand a noisy.
It could be the face that they make. You know what I mean? You never know what it is. You know what I mean? So we had that talk, and I told her who I was really, and I told her what I expected, And if you can't handle it, if you got some kind of weird things going on, not even saying it like that, but I'm thinking in my mind, if you got some weird stuff going on, you know what? Maybe it might be better for me to step off, as I don't know if I can do all that weirdness. It gotta be right this time. And I think that's the most. And so, we've done marriage counseling, so we talk to people and we say, listen, speak up and say what is real, because I'm going to bring up stuff that might be offensive. It's not meant to be offensive. It's meant to push you to see where you're at, because you might not because when you're talking love, you show everybody your good stuff when you're coming, all the stuff that you expect. So we had to.
Absolutely.
That was our challenge and stuff, and I was glad that she was willing to sit down and talk and just share what really was going on. That's not to say you know everything, because there's so much to a person.
Right.
Yeah.
You never know everything about a person. They're a mystery.
Right.
They're a mystery. We're all mysteries. And we got a lot of stuff going on inside us.
Right.
But love, it does. When you really love somebody and you can deal with the major issues, you're able to conquer the other stuff.
Yeah.
Amen.
For sure. So, this question is for the Macintoshes. So, the conversation that Pastor Bailey was talking about, talking about like what you wanted and like what you wanted out of the relationship and things like that. Did the two of you have a conversation like that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because the one thing about me is I want to know expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because of the prior relationship that I came out of, I really didn't even want to be in another relationship, right? Just because of the volatile of that relationship. So in the beginning, I talked about expectations, like what is your expectation? And then you have to remember, because I already had 3 children, I wasn't having any more, right? So I had to be upfront and honest with him, knowing that he didn't have any biological children. I wanted him, and I'm 4 years older than him, right? So it was kind of like, for me, didn't want to be selfish.
Okay.
So I was like, are you sure this is what you want? Because I'm not going to have any more children. And I don't want to be 5-10 years down the road and you talk about, well, I want a kid, right? But you already knew in the beginning that I didn't want any more children.
Yeah.
So I gave him that leeway, and he walked away for about 6 months to a year. I allowed him to, let's just make sure this is what we wanted, because I already knew in my mind that I did not want to have any more children. And I didn't want to be that person that he fell in love with that couldn't give him what he wanted biologically, right?
Gotcha.
And so we laid out expectations, right? The only expectations that we didn't lay down was that communication. We didn't talk about that, because in the beginning, it's good. It's like, this is the person I want to be with. I love you. But you don't know about communication breakdown until you're in it. So that's so absolutely, expectations was laid out in the beginning. He let me know his expectations and I let him know mine. And another expectation is he know he can't go in the kitchen, right? Because and also he had to gain some weight, right? I tell people all the time, he was 145 pounds when I met him. So we couldn't be walking around looking like the number 10, right? He is thick and I'm round. That wasn't gonna work for me. So that was an expectation. He had to gain some weight.
Hold on. Flag on the play. I'm looking at these faces. And Minister Malika looking at me like,
Yeah.
no, wait.
Well, no, Minister. Hey, you're all right, because I was super thin too.
Right.
I came in, I was like
super thin.
I was really thin. My wife, she loved making potatoes, and I think that's what.
He was extra thin. He was I'm telling y'all, he was 145 pounds, right? And I was 100 pounds heavier. Okay. So he, you know what I mean? So I was like, this not gonna work. We walking around here looking like the number 10. right? So I'm gonna need you to come on and put some weight on. So I had to help him, get there. You know what I mean? Now I'm gonna help him get some of it off because he just need it, right? But right now, that was the expectation. I was like, you gotta gain some weight. Like this not gonna work. You know what I mean? People gonna be calling us number 2 walking around in, the world. So,
oh my gosh.
Yo, man. See, y'all start stuff. That's much.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from. Like, as far like listening to you talk, Mom Raquel, like I have a lot to learn from both of y'all.
Mhm.
But like I see similarities in us. And like I don't know. Were y'all at the leadership roundtable?
On Friday,
I
but not
wasn't.
Saturday.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Bishop talks to me about like kind of like curbing my attitude, because like you, it's like when, even though I don't talk much, when I do talk, it's like straightforward. I say what I mean and everything. And sometimes my tongue can be a little sharp too. So like I'm working on like curbing that and things of that nature. So, like listening to you talk about that and explain that is really helping me. So thank you for that.
You the one thing about this sharp tongue, right? You gotta really think before you speak, right?
Yeah.
It's easier said than done. And that was hard for me, right? So it was much prayer. Like I just gave it over to God. Like, God, I don't want to be this person where people think I'm nasty. I don't want to be that person people think I'm mean, because I'm really a nice person. Like I'm kind and I have a heart for people. And I always say to myself, how can you win souls and you nasty? How can you win souls and you have an attitude? How can you win souls with your facial expressions? So I started asking God to show me my facial expressions. So sometimes, right, if I'm sitting and I'm like, God, show me my face. And I'll be like, woo, that was not good. And it could be that I'm thinking about something else in it. But to the other person, it could appear that it's about them. Right. So that's why I have to curve my facial expressions. And, it's going to take time for you to get there with your mouth. Right. And I'm not saying that I have arrived. I've gotten better, over the past year, where I make sure I think, okay, should I say that? No. If it's a no, I'm not going to say it. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to start talking to yourself, right? Talk to God and then talk to yourself. Don't even like, you're married, like even with your husband, Elder Michael, right? When y'all have those disagreements, sometimes you just gonna have to pull back. That's where that submissive part coming in, right?
Yeah.
And because I have to pull back sometimes, because remember I said if you say too much to your spouse, it can damage a man, right? You can really kind of like take their manhood away. Not that we be trying to do it, but you can. And I always say this: words is like toothpaste in a toothpaste tube. Once it's out, you can't put that toothpaste back in. So once them words come out of your mouth, you can't bring them back.
That is so
No,
true.
I'm sorry. Another thing that helped us too was two things. One was positive reinforcement. If we did have a disagreement and there was no lashing or there was no belittle or anything like that, hey babe, you know what, we really got through this argument without, so it was really positive reinforcement. One, two, it goes back to what pastors were saying as far as boundaries. Even in with your spouse, you have to have boundaries of things that that person doesn't like, or that person, like I use the analogy of hitting below the belt. That was something, me and my wife talked about, hitting below the belt. What really would cause us to, have that interaction or reach that point of interaction where we're trying to hit below the belt. Have some things that, okay, this is, hitting below the belt with this, or this is something that I don't like when you do that. And it doesn't always have to be in an argument. It can just be a simple conversation. And again, positive reinforcement, try to follow it up with, you know what, I really didn't like when you said, or I really didn't like the way you. And it's not pointing the blame. It's just bringing it to the person's attention.
Yes.
Did. And don't make it like a tongue lashing. Just make it as, like I said, a normal conversation. But it can't be in the heat of an argument. It just has to be in a realm of coming from love, of course, and wanting your relationship to be better. So that too that's what helped us too with that.
This is so good. Okay. Did anyone have anything to add before we go to the next?
No.
Okay. If y'all see me, my dog is like sitting right by my feet. So if y'all see me looking down, that's why. I'm trying to make sure he doesn't
Okay.
to anything. Where are we? Okay. Question number 5. What piece of advice do you give, or what piece of advice would you give to a newlywed couple?
Keep God first. End of discussion.
also I would say keep family members and friends out of your marriage, out of your business. They need, because if you have that family member or that good friend that you go and you talk to them about your spouse, and your spouse then did something and you end up forgiving them, but your friends and your family don't, right? So then they'll start treating your spouse a different way, and then you're going to get mad because why are you treating him like that? So the best advice, keep them out of your business and keep God in the center.
Right.
Amen. And trust one another. Trust one another, and know that, give yourself space to, I don't want to say fail, but room. Like, none of us are perfect. There's not a perfect marriage. So I give him room. He gives me room. If I fail, honey, don't worry about it. It's okay. We'll get through it, because there is going to be hard times and there's going to be good times, and you have to, if you really love each other, you're going to fight for each other.
Absolutely.
You're going to fight. And like Prophet Raquel said, you can't let other people in. It's between you and your mate.
Yep.
Your children don't need to know, between you and your mate and God,
I would, right. And I would say also, with everything everybody's saying, is to have a goal that is for you two. What is your end goal with one another? Because that helps you when things get rough to always see that you still have a goal that is together. Because there's going to be sometimes arguments, disagreements, differences. As I said, when other people come into your life, whether you have children, there's going to be certain mindsets that the one has that the other one doesn't. But what is your end goal that keeps you together? What is your purpose also? And especially, for now as a worshiper, me talking, I would say for the man, what is your purpose? Because your purpose is very important, to the person that is with you, because I gotta make sure that I'm going the right direction, that God has for me, because I got her. What I'm saying? It's not just about me. This is, you don't want somebody else's, as long as we keep, as a minister said, you keep God first and foremost, and find out what your purpose is in him and continue in it. That will help you with a lot of different things, because you don't want to lose that. That's your that kind of will help you. It will help you solidify you. Your purpose together. She has, of course, she might have some different things that she would like to do, and that's good. I will help her with that. But we do want to share a goal as our goal together.
Absolutely.
In life.
That's good.
And keep the romance.
Yes, and the communication and active listening.
Romance.
Yeah.
Make one another first. That is,
Absolutely.
if you don't make one another first, everything else will come in your life and take over and destroy that. That you got to make one another first.
Yes.
Even
Quality
with kids,
time,
because I know people
quality
get caught up with kids and they're like, "Oh, I want to get my kids off to college," and that's all good stuff. But once the children leave, what do you have left?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
It started with you two, and you want to end it with you two.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
Date nights,
That's good.
you know,
Yeah.
spicy nights.
All right, spicy night.
You know, you got to keep it live.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want him to get bored, or
Yes.
I don't want to get bored with him. And like you
Absolutely.
said, our likes and well, I liked it this way, or I like this, or whatever. You know what I mean? Just be honest and truthful.
What you two can work together, because every marriage is going to be different. What is not, you might not like it the way we like it. But you're able to operate the way that you guys like it. So there is something for you guys, that the way that you operate, and you got to be at peace with that. And it doesn't matter how we operate, as long as you two are good and you're living your life and you're enjoying one another.
Yeah. And like Pastor said, what works for us may not work for them, but at the same time, we're all
Gotta know what works.
All in the same marriage. Like, we're all married, so what works for you, find what works for you, and continue that. I remind myself that myself. I'm a tell on me. I get bogged down with work. I get bogged down with ministry, but at the end of the day, my first ministry is to my wife. So if I'm not ministering to her, how can I minister to somebody else? You know what I mean? How can I encourage a marriage if my marriage is going to heck in a handbasket? So I have to keep my marriage together, keep my thing jumping, to encourage other people. Because if for some reason somebody knows, like, what y'all just, and you trying to encourage, you just saying, and you trying to, our thing, we keep our thing tight. We can encourage everybody else to keep their thing tight. Find out what works for you, like Pastor said. And forums like this, as far as more seasoned marriages, you can, like you said, Lady Malik, at first, you always glean. So it may be some things that I can ask Pastor, you know what, Pastor, what is it that, something that I might can try that you're doing? Not necessarily the same thing, but I always can glean from successful Christian marriages that you can learn from. So absolutely, I totally agree.
Right.
But I like how too Bishop was talking about, when you get married, you become one flesh, but we have different spirits.
Absolutely.
So I got to know what I like for myself and share that with my mate as well as him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to know, like you said, individually, what you like and what you don't like. What's going to work for you is not going to work for me, but what works for us, we got to keep that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And the key to what you said, Minister Darnell, about gleaning from seasoned marriages is the successful part. Because some people have been together for years, but they've been miserable all those years.
That part.
Yes.
So,
I can't be in no marriage like that. I ain't going to do it.
Listen, I want to
ministered.
Can't do it.
Any situation that's making me miserable. Like, I can't.
Absolutely.
Life is too short.
Yeah, life is way too short. And one thing I learned, like, even as an individual, oh my goodness, Maverick.
Your child.
Yes. He must have heard something outside. I don't know. But he's got the zoomies right now. What was I saying? Gosh.
Gleaning from
season successful marriages.
Yes. One thing about me, like, one thing I learned is that people are always watching. And that's just in every aspect of life. But for me personally, I'm always watching married couples and things like that. And, with me being an observant person, I pick up on the nonverbal stuff. Like that, you can tell when a couple is faking the funk.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like, you can tell when a couple is truly happy together, and when they're like, you can tell that like they were just fighting, or you can tell, you know what I mean, like when it's not solid, and
Right.
things like you can just tell. And no matter how they try to like turn it or change the narrative or anything else, like you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Sure. Sure.
Okay. Question number 6. What do you appreciate most about your spouse?
For me, I just thank God that he is a godly man. That is so attractive to me. A man who is after God's own heart. But what I really love about him is he is a caring, hardworking man. He cares about me. He cares about how I feel, not just about himself. He cares about the whole family, actually. My grandkids, they can share some things, as well as my daughter and his children. They might not always agree with everything he says, but I can say for myself that he's a good man, and I thank God for him.
I appreciate about my wife, she is different than me, and she adds a different dimension to me in the sense of um, when I saw her, I saw something about her that the Lord showed me, was that she is a worshiper of God, but she ain't overly religious.
Right.
I don't want no religious craziness. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Listen,
want nobody running around hallelujah every second of
Right.
the day. I want
I
somebody
mean,
that I got some fun with,
yes, yes.
you know. So I was glad that she could bring that real part out, that she is fun, that she can be sexy, that she can be she can laugh, she knows how to bring me out of, sometimes when I've got it in my own self, caught up in trying to please God or trying whatever I'm thinking I'm doing, she can, baby, relax. She is that she gives me peace, like, when I'm not, when I'm working hard or trying to do too much, she knows how to bring me down and say, relax, rest, be at peace, and so I thank God for that part of her, and there's so many other things, but I thank God for that knows how to give me peace, knows how to say relax, knows how to say it's going to be okay.
That's wonderful.
So for me, I would say the way he loves me, the way he protects me, the way he makes me feel safe. When you've come out of a relationship that I was in, it's kind of hard to feel safe with a man again, right?
For sure.
So it's the safe part, and he taught me how to love again. The mere fact, his patience with me, because I would have divorced me a long time ago. I'm just gonna say that, like, y'all know I'm transparent, and that's just who I am. I would have divorced me a long time ago. Um, However, I love his patience. I love the way he encourages me, and he calms me, um, and he prays for me. You know,
Amen.
at night, when I may fall asleep and I might turn over, I can hear him reading and just praying over me at night. So that's what I would say, that I appreciate about, and that he still gives me butterflies. Like, it's 26
Love
years.
it so much.
It's the butterflies for me.
Butterflies.
It's the butterflies for me.
Oh, I love it.
That's what it's about.
Yes.
I love
Absolutely.
the way that my wife rides for me. Number one, she has my back. I can say she's helped me grow into a better man, husband, follower here of the word. Because I know as men, when your spouse is saved or been in church longer, um, it's kind of intimidating,
Mm-hmm.
free, but um, she allows me to be me. She allows, from that standpoint, she allows me to grow. She just completes me. She knows me better than I know myself sometimes. And I'm like, I don't know where you know that from. Because I haven't said anything, but she's my best friend.
Man.
She's that right hand that I wouldn't trade in for the world.
Oh, that's so sweet. All right, we're about to get even more sentimental. This is the final question. What is something you feel your spouse needs to hear from you specifically?
Good.
You want to go first?
I'll go first. At first, I was like, well, I'm like, from me, I was like, he really doesn't need to hear anything, but he really does, right? Because he needs to hear more that I'm proud of him. I'm proud of the strides that he has taken to for his calling on his life. I'm proud that every day that he is becoming a better man every day. And so at first I was like, I don't really know if you need to know anything, because I tell him everything, right? But sometimes it's just reaffirmation of things. So it's like, I'm proud of you. I appreciate who you are to me and to my family. And if I never said this before, I appreciate how you sacrificed your life to take care of someone else's children that you have taken on as your own. You couldn't tell you that they're not your children, right? That you didn't birth them. That's not your biological children. So that's what I would say. I'm proud of you. And you cheer me on, you encourage me. And when I'm having those bad days, you just know when to call me out of the blue, or you send me those text messages. So that's what I would say you need to hear from me.
I know for me, like she said, I pretty much tell her everything. So specifically, it's just continue doing what you're doing. Continue taking this ride with me. Continue to be as open and genuine as you are. You're just being real, just being your authentic self. It's really no one specific thing, because like my wife said, we talk to each other all the time. We laugh, we joke, it's just real. So I specifically appreciate the realness that we have with each other. So just continue to keep that realness that makes me happy.
Wonderful.
All right. What he needs to hear from me, is that what the question was again?
Yes, ma'am.
What I want you to know is that I'm here for life. I thank God that he chose you for me. He knew exactly what I needed, and you were it. He made you especially for me, and I mean that from my heart. And, no matter what, the little quarrels and spats, that marriages go through, but I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. So
right.
I just thank God for you and know that I'm here for life.
Period.
Period.
Life.
Period.
Period.
Good. I want to make sure you make it to church every Sunday.
Right.
Now listen, somebody else will take that the wrong way.
That boy best.
Why would you say we're on live? I work every other weekend, but since I've been down with my foot, yes, I'm going to make it to church every Sunday.
I'm messing with her.
Yes,
Until I change jobs, and I'm not going to work no Sundays when I do change.
I miss her when she doesn't come. I love when she
I
comes.
know you do.
You do.
It's different when she doesn't come. So, but I think she needs to hear from me encouragement that she is so gifted, and her walk with God is she has an amazing walk with the Lord, and to continue to pursue it and to push into it, because she, when in prayer she hears from God. She hears from God, and I want her to continue to do that. That I do believe in her, and I thank God for the blessing that she is. Because she sees what I don't see, and I thank God that God has given her eyes to see what I don't see.
Absolutely.
And she sees it the way it really is. And so I've learned in this thing that don't get old where you can't hear no more. Always be able to hear new things and be able to see new things and be able to, even with the times changing, being able to understand them. You may not always be, do all of it, but learning to always hear, whether it be the children or the time. But I thank God for her, because I think she just needs to hear from me that you hear from God.
Absolutely.
Trust that voice.
Yeah.
Trust yourself.
Absolutely.
This has been great. Does anybody have anything they want to add, or anything they want to say, or any more, I don't know, nuggets of advice or anything?
The only thing I would add, and we did say it, Minister Darnell brought it out so well, and I thought that it's very important that when you start struggling, or if you see something you're not getting in the marriage, I always call it sit down session. Honey, let's have sit down session. And we know what that means. It's time for us to sit on a chair and just hear one another out. You can't say nothing. The other person gets to say what they need to say. There's not like Mr. Darnell said, it's not an argument. It's a time just to listen. People don't know how to listen to one another. Listen, because there's something that is bothering me, and I need for you to hear it out for me to move on. I would say that for people,
Also, too, just to add on, submission just doesn't. One, it doesn't mean you're weak.
No.
People throw that word submit around like it's a frisbee or it's like a football. Submission actually makes you stronger, because it's uncomfortable. Even with husbands, we forget. We always want to throw that, I want my wife to submit. I want my wife to submit. Well, she only submits as you submit. So it's not just you submit. We also have to submit to God.
Yeah.
And if we submit to him as our wives submit, that makes everything so much easier. So I just think as married couples, that word submission, we can't make it what's the word I'm looking for? A hangover. Well, you're not submitting, so I'm not. No, submission is what makes that a marriage that much better. But, marriage is equal. It's not I'm the ruler of this, boo boo boo. No, you're a priest. Number one, you're the priest of the household. And if you're out of order,
houses
for the devil to come in, and he does. And then you looking at your wife like, well, what's going on? Why? What are you doing, bro? Are you submitting? Because if you can't hear, then he can't hear you. So I just think, and again, that was the strongest thing for my wife. Submission doesn't make her weak.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Submission makes her strong. So I think
not to cut you off. I think submission it wasn't a thing that I couldn't submit. I think it was an issue of me being such a strong, independent woman, right? And I came in doing this and I can leave doing this, right? That's the mindset, right? So for all the single women out there that are single and are strong, you know what I mean? You got to change your mindset. So that's what I had to do. I had to change my mindset on some things. And I actually started asking God to show me how to submit.
Absolutely.
Submission to me wasn't a word like, oh my God, we're back in the 1950s or, 40s, right? It's submission for me. I needed to know how to do that, right? So in order for me to submit to anyone else that, like our covering, right? If I'm not submitting to him, I can't submit to our bishop, right? That would be out of order. It would be illegal, right? So, but you see a lot of women who don't submit to their husbands, but they submit to other men. That's illegal, and it's weird, right? So the best advice that I could give someone that has the tenacity of being strong and independent is study the word submission, right? And start to submit to some things, submit to your husbands and see how it works. I can tell you right now that out of the 20 years that we've been married, these past probably 5 has been the greatest, right? Because I've been working on myself. I'm not saying that 15 of them were bad. It was the 15 I needed to adjust some things and continue to adjust some things. And I'm still making some adjustments, right? Because they say you change every 5 years. That's what they say, right? And I'm looking, that's probably true. Every 5 years you do change in some way, right? So you're learning a new person all the time, all over again. So you have to adjust yourself to that person that is changed again, right? Because you're like, you done changed again. Okay, well, let me go ahead and adapt to this change. So that's just the best advice I could give to a strong, even sometimes a weak woman can become a non-submissive one too. I would just say, get up on that word submission, study it and pray about it and ask how to show you how to submit to your spouse. So that way things can go smoothly, right? And get that communication, under wraps, Minister Malika,
Absolutely. This is I'm so that I got excited for a second because I'm so glad we got into that submission part because it's so important. Like me personally, like I I was that strong, independent woman. I don't need no man. Like my mantra was, I want you, I don't need you for the longest time because like I was always taught to be independent. And that's when you are single, okay, yeah, that's well and good. But when you um become joined to a man who wants to take care of you and wants to love you and everything, like it that mindset always will make it hard. And for a long time, I gave Mike a hard time with that because like I wouldn't let him buy me stuff or wouldn't let him like pay for stuff. Like, but now it's like, we hit a few times, like a few patches where like I had no choice but to depend on him.
Sure.
Like I was put in that position and then like also I had to I had to start humbling myself and just like really allowing him 'cause I wasn't even giving him a chance to even show me that he was capable of like taking care of me and things like that. And so now, when I finally did that, I see him in a new light now, an even better light. And I'm to the point where like I can relax, I can just breathe, and like I'm not always worrying, I'm not anxious, things like that, because I know he's got me.
Because you allowed him to take the lead, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's the difference because once I allowed him to take the lead, like, you've heard some of the testimony, like I was always the one that was going to the church and picking the church, right?
Right.
So this last time I'm like, I'm going to trust him. I'm going to trust him to wherever he leads us, right? And once you do that, like your anxiety, your frustration, your worryation, right? Your mouth, your attitude will change towards that, because
Sure.
it's not his fault that we decided that we was just this independent woman and we didn't need no man. Why did we get married if we didn't need a man, right?
That
If
part.
we didn't need him, why get married, right?
Right.
So that's where I was at.
Mhm.
Same as you, right?
Mhm.
I always would tell him, you came here, you can go. Like, I got this. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's our attitude sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But we say we love him, and we took a vow to say this is our husband and this is the man that God placed in our heart. I mean, in our life, a godly man, right? And why are we treating God like that?
Mm-hmm.
But we gonna treat his servant and his son like that? Like, we're out of order when we do that, right? So that's what I had to do. I had to check myself, and I'm like, you need to get your mind right, because if you don't, he's going to walk out, and you're gonna be sitting here looking. Go here with your independent self, and then you
Yeah.
sitting in the mirror talking to yourself, getting smart with yourself, because he's tired, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad that you are curving that, right?
Absolutely.
And the more and more you let him lead, I promise you're gonna be you're gonna just keep being more humble, more submissive, more humble, more submissive. Because guess what? You not being the man, you letting him lead you, and he being the man, and you're not gonna worry about not a bill being paid, not him buying you. You're not gonna worry about it, because you're gonna be like, oh, he got that. Go ahead, baby. And guess what? It's a turn on, because you be like, go ahead.
Yeah, like, yes, take care of me.
And you'll fight for him more too.
You gonna fight for him
When he's taking care of you, you ain't letting nobody come between that.
Exactly.
That's right.
So you will fight for him more.
And that's
You
why I
will
fought
love
for
and
him on
appreciate
Saturday.
him more.
Yeah. That's why I fought for him on Saturday. I was just like, I didn't realize when it happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize, wow, you really would fight for him. You know why? Because I decided that he's going to be the head of this household, and he's going to lead, and I'm going to let him take the lead. And guess what? If he make a mistake, I'm going to be right there to catch him.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You
right.
know what I mean? I'm going to be right there. I got you, babe.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
This is just a stumbling block. We got this. You know what I mean? So absolutely. You can call me anytime.
Okay.
Yeah. And guess what?
Amen.
I will check you in the middle of you doing it. If I see an eye roll, I will walk and be like, I'm telling you, I'm just letting you know that's just how I operate, right?
Yeah.
Because I love you and I love Elder Harris, right? And I love marriage. Like I love married couples, right? So if I even see like who he talking to, I'll slide up to you and be like, "You okay, sis? You need a conversation." That's just how I am, right?
Yeah.
And you might be like, "Who's she talking to?" You.
No, I need that. Like, that's the kind of
So that's sometimes we need that. And I expect if Minister Ross see me, where'd they go?
Oh, hey,
all right. If Minister Ross see me off, you know what I mean? That's my expectation for her. You know what I mean? To come up and be like, Prophet, you good? We need to have a conversation. You know what I mean? We hold each other accountable. You know what I mean? So we
I'll just come and rub you on your shoulder.
Yeah.
That's my way of saying it's okay, baby. It'll be all right.
You know, and I hope that never happens. But sometimes, like I said, we have moments, right? And moments we need to
all do
back in, right?
Absolutely.
So, we just hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
And also too, that's the beauty of having what I was saying before, when I would talk to Pastor Belly, that's the beauty of having someone who not only is a pastor, someone you respect as well, as a married man, as a husband, as a leader. If he checks me, I know it's in a realm of love and me doing better. It's not anything other than, it's no malice there. There's no, so even as husbands, it's the same thing as wives. And what my wife said, as far as you allowing Elder Harris to lead, he's going to make mistakes, and it's okay.
That's right.
And it's okay.
Leave room.
encourage him. You know what? You got it. You got
Yep.
it.
I'm here.
Yeah. So even as husbands, wives, like it's basically what I said Sunday. If a woman can come in church and cry, and every woman come up to her and say, "Well, you okay?" Rub her back. How come us as men, when we have weak moments or we cry or how come we can't come to each other and say, "Hey, look, I don't need to know what you're going through, but bruh, I got you."
Right.
Amen.
Whatever you're going through, I'm praying for you. And
Amen.
the same way I glean from Pastor Belly, he gleans from me. We glean from each other, and it's a place of love and it's a place of learning. I'm learning from I can learn from him. Of course, he can learn from me, and it's always a place of love and respect. So, as a trusted married voice, I can look at them too and say, "Okay, yeah, they got it."
Right. Yeah. This is so good.
It was.
It was gonna be.
Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure. I took a lot from this. So, and I already know those who are watching took something from it, whether they're single, dating, married, any level of relationship. What time is it? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there was no time limit anyway, because I'm home. So
Right.
there's no time limit. But yeah, this was great. If no one else has anything to add, we can go ahead and wrap this up.
Absolutely.
Amen. This was great.
Yes,
This was very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
thank y'all so very much for joining me. And I'll be seeing y'all soon, of course.
Absolutely.
Amen.
All right. Y'all have a good night, and I love
You
y'all.
too.
Love you too.
Thank you.
Take care.
Love you.
God bless.
That was good.
Right. All right. So that concludes another episode of Have a Little Talk. I'm pretty sure that you all heard something that you can take from this conversation. Please stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you all for tuning in on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Bye.